Good morning and welcome to my blog, Wisdom for Today. And today I want to talk to you about a Bible verse that I was quoting to myself as I was getting ready for work. The way I was quoting it is this way: He will keep you in perfect peace, whose mind is set on Him. And that's the way I understood it. You may know the Bible verse because it's often put on coffee mugs and on dishware, or you may have seen it on posters because it's a great Bible verse. And I need to tell you, Christians have done that since the very beginning. That was one of the proofs that they would hold against Christians when they were accused of being Christians, was how the scriptures were quoted within their homes and why it was on their pottery and why were these words so sacred to them. It proved that they believed in them. But I have to say, when I looked up the Bible verse, I was surprised by a couple of things. First of all, the verse wasn't in the New Testament, and somehow in my mind, I thought it was from the Pauline letters. But instead, it's in the book of Isaiah. The second thing was that the wording was different. The wording, I'm going to read NIV, then I'll read King James, is you will keep him, you, because it's a prayer, not he, you will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is steadfast because he trusts in you. And then if you read the King James, is thou wilt keep him in perfect peace because he trusteth you, and his mind is stays on you. He trusteth you. Now, the little th on the end means it's a perpetual tense, that he is constantly trusting in you and he thinks about you all the time. Small, subtle difference, but still a difference. And then the second thing I was thinking of is I wanted to know the context of the scripture. Now, the book of Isaiah was written in the 8th century, about 700 years before Jesus. And it was written when the Israelites were in captivity. And there was one group of Israelites that were, the land of Judah, were in Assyria. The other group were taken into Babylon. And what both those kingdoms tried to do was enculturate them. They forced impregnation of women so that they would have Assyrian babies, and then they tried to train them in their religion. And the only way the Jewish people had to rebel was to keep their faith close, was to remind themselves that they only worshiped God. So in this passage, Isaiah is talking about when the city of Jerusalem will be opened up again. But in this passage, he's also talking about how do you keep your faith? And the way that he says it is that God is watching you. And also, he's saying, keep thinking about God. I'm going to read you it in context. I'll be reading about 6 verses instead of just one. We'll start with verse 1, and it's talking about when Jerusalem opens up again. In that day, this song will be sung in the land of Judah. We have a strong city, and God makes salvations its walls and ramparts. Open the gates that the righteous may enter, the nation that keeps faith. You will keep in perfect peace him whose mind is steadfast because he trusts in you. Trust the Lord forever, for the Lord is the rock eternal. He humbles those who dwell on high, and he lays a lofty city low, and he levels the ground and casts it into dust. Feet trample it down, but the feet of the oppressed, the footsteps of the poor, are kept secure. So in this passage, it's telling us a couple of things. I want you to notice, first of all, he's talking about entering Jerusalem, but he doesn't say the walls are solid stone and they'll keep you safe. He says the walls are the salvation. God makes salvation the walls and its ramparts. Now, when they thought of salvation, they were thinking of God saving them, their testimony, from Babylon and Assyria. But when the born-again Christian reads that, they think of salvation of the relationship with Jesus Christ. And you know, a city whose walls or your salvation can be any place God takes you to. It doesn't have to be your house. God, our salvation outlasts this life, and it's also going to outlast your life and your job, your house and your job, and your physical life. It's something that lasts for eternal. So, God says, open the gates of my plan of salvation and let the righteous enter. And then it talks about God eventually toppling the rich and your oppressors, but keeping your feet safe and secure. And he does that from we making our minds steadfast, stubborn, if you will. I just visited Mark Twain's house, and one of Mark Twain's favorite quotes that I like to quote to myself is that faith is 95% pure stubbornness. But the Bible encourages that. Make your mind stubborn in believing in God, and keep your mind. Make it stay on God. I do that from reading Christian autobiographies. And most of you know I've read a lot of the hymns autobiographies, but I read other people's autobiographies as well. And I also read the scriptures in the morning and in the evening, and listen to Christian music when I can. This all helps complete me. And the word for peace, he will keep you in perfect peace, is the same word shalom for wholeness. God will keep you whole if you keep your mind stayed on him. I pray that that word of knowledge gives you security in your world where there's changing, shifting sands, and when everything seems to be up in arms from day to day, that you will find that peace you can find by dwelling on Jesus. I hope to see you in church this Sunday. And for those of you who don't go to church, I hope that you'll tune into a church on Facebook or YouTube, or visit a local church in your neighborhood. God's blessings, and have a great day.